The city above was dead. Broken towers leaned like old bones, and the wind carried the smell of dust and fire. Deep under those ruins, a poor human boy named Eli lived in the sewers, a maze of dripping tunnels, cold water, and echoing metal pipes. Eli was thin, hungry, and tired of being invisible. The world had forgotten boys like him long ago, after the war between humans and the alien kind called the Vereen. The war had left Earth in pieces, and only the rich survived above. The rest lived below, hiding like rats. Every day Eli searched for food scraps or broken tech he could sell. He talked to himself sometimes just to hear a voice. But one night as he walked through the tunnels, he heard something new. A soft sound like a whimper mixed with static. He froze. It was not a rat, not a machine. It sounded almost alive. He followed the sound through a dark passage where blue light flickered faintly on the wet walls. The deeper he went, the stronger the light became, and until he saw her, a girl. Lying against the stone, breathing weakly, glowing faintly blue. Her hair was silver, her skin pale like moonlight. One of her legs bent at a strange angle, and strange wires sparkled under her torn suit. Eli's heart jumped. He had seen pictures of her kind before, in the warning posters on the old walls. Vereen species, kill on sight, he should have run. Helping an alien meant death, but when she opened her eyes, he froze again. They were not cold or evil. They were full of fear, full of pain. Please, she whispered. Her voice was soft and broken. Don't leave me. Eli looked around nervously. Drones could be anywhere. The sewer cameras still worked in some tunnels. He didn't know why, but something inside him made him step forward instead of turning back. He knelt beside her. You're hurt, he said quietly. She tried to move her leg but cried out in pain. The glow from her wound pulsed faster. They're coming, she said. Please, hide me. Eli didn't ask who they were. He grabbed a piece of old metal and tried to help her stand, but she was too weak. So he pulled her arm over his shoulder and started walking, dragging both of them through the narrow tunnels. Behind them, faint hums began to echo, the sound of search drones. Eli moved faster, heart pounding. The tunnel ahead opened into an old room he used as his shelter, filled with junk, blankets, and broken machines. He laid her down carefully. Stay quiet, he whispered. Moments later, a beam of red light swept across the tunnel entrance. Eli held his breath and covered her mouth gently. Through the crack, he saw a drone hover past, and its black shell gleaming, its voice metallic and cold. Target 47B missing, it said. Last seen underground. Kill on sight. The drone turned and floated away. Eli exhaled slowly. The girl, no, the alien, looked at him with tired eyes. You risked your life, she said weakly. I don't know why, Eli replied. Maybe I'm stupid. She gave a faint smile that made her glow a little brighter. My name is Sarah. Eli didn't say his name at first. He was still shaking. Finally, he whispered, Eli. Sarah closed her eyes. Thank you, Eli. He watched her chest rise and fall. For a moment, she looked almost human, just another lost soul like him. But then her skin flickered with light again. The air around her felt warm, almost electric. What are you? Eli asked softly. She opened one eye and smiled weakly. Running from monsters, she said. But maybe I was one of them once. Eli didn't understand. He only knew that something powerful was chasing her, and now they would chase him too. He wrapped her in an old blanket and gave her the last piece of bread he had. She looked at it curiously but ate it anyway. Where are you from? He asked. She looked up at the ceiling. Far away, she whispered. A place with 2 suns. But your people took me from the sky. I escaped. I can't go back now. Her eyes filled with tears that shimmered like liquid light. One drop fell on Eli's hand, warm like fire. He didn't know what to say. He just sat beside her, listening to the faint hum of machines far away. Then Sarah reached into her suit pocket and pulled out a small metal cube glowing softly. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Take it, she said. Keep it safe. If they find it, they'll kill us both. Eli hesitated, then took the cube. It felt warm in his hands, almost alive. What is it? He asked. My core fragment, she said. It's part of me. Eli looked at her, a glowing alien girl hiding in the dark with him, hunted by soldiers above. He didn't know what would happen next, but something deep inside told him this was the start of something far bigger than himself. Far away, in the echoing tunnels, a metallic voice said, Target detected. Move in. Eli's eyes widened. He grabbed Sarah's hand and whispered, "We have to run." And just like that, the boy from the sewers and the girl from the stars disappeared into the darkness, their fates tied together forever. Water dripped from the ceiling, slow and steady, like a ticking clock. Eli moved fast through the tunnels, holding Sarah's arm over his shoulder. She was weak and shivering, her leg still glowing faintly where it was broken. Behind them, mechanical echoes filled the sewer, the sound of drones hunting. Eli had lived here for years. He knew every crack, every dark turn, every broken ladder that could hide a person. But tonight, even the tunnels felt alive, whispering danger with every sound. Sarah winced. "They're close," she said softly. Her eyes flashed bright blue for a second, then dimmed again. "I can feel their scanners." Eli's heart pounded. "You can feel them?" She nodded weakly. "They use pulse waves. My kind. We were trained to sense them." Eli tightened his grip.
"Then help me stay one step ahead." He turned down a smaller tunnel, barely wide enough for both of them.
The walls were covered in slime and old graffiti from before the war. His boots splashed through shallow water as he listened, counting the echoes of machines chasing them. 3 drones. Maybe 4, and they were getting closer. "Keep quiet," Eli whispered. Sarah's breathing slowed, but her glowing skin made the shadows around them shimmer faintly. Eli cursed under his breath. "You're glowing like a lamp. I can't stop it," she said, shaking. "It's my energy leaking." He looked around quickly and tore a piece of fabric from his shirt, wrapping it around her leg and arm to dim the light. "Better," he said. For a short while, the only sound was their steps in the dripping water. But then, a faint red beam cut through the dark ahead. Eli froze. A drone hovered into view, its eye glowing red like a small sun. It scanned the tunnel slowly. Eli pushed Sarah into a side drain half filled with water and covered them both with an old metal sheet. They crouched together in silence as the drone drifted closer. The hum grew louder. The red light moved over the metal sheet. Eli held his breath until his lungs hurt. Sarah's hand trembled in his, her skin warm and soft despite the cold. The drone paused. Then suddenly it fired a small laser that cut through the corner of the sheet. A spark burned Eli's arm. He bit his lip to stop from screaming. The drone's voice echoed cold and flat. "Target scent detected. Confirming presence." Before it could shoot again, Sarah lifted her free hand and whispered something in her alien language. The air around them vibrated, then burst in a flash of blue light. The drone cracked, twisted, and exploded silently into pieces. Eli stared at the smoking remains, eyes wide. "What was that?" "Energy wave," Sarah whispered. "It drains me." "I can't do it again," Eli nodded quickly. "Then we move." They ran through the maze of tunnels, turning corner after corner until the air began to smell less like rot and more like dust and rusted metal. They had reached the old subway line, a place Eli rarely visited because it was too open. The massive tunnels stretched in both directions, empty train cars rusting in the dark. Faint emergency lights still flickered from the war days. Eli helped Sarah onto one of the train cars and closed the door behind them. "We can rest here for a bit," he said, breathing hard. Sarah leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. "You should have left me," she whispered. "Now they'll kill you too." Eli looked at her for a long moment. "I've been running my whole life," he said. "At least this time I'm running for something that matters." She opened her eyes slowly. "Why?" he shrugged. "Because you looked scared. And no one ever helped me when I was scared." Sarah's lips curved into a small smile. It made her face seem almost human, but the peace didn't last. A loud metal clang echoed from the far tunnel. Lights flickered. Voices, real ones, not machines, shouted orders. "Squad 3, move in. Target sighted near subway sector." Eli peeked through the window. Soldiers in heavy suits were coming. Not drones this time, but real men with pulse rifles. "They brought soldiers," he muttered. Sarah tried to stand, but stumbled. Her leg was worse now. "Go," she said. "You can escape through the west tunnel." "Not leaving you," Eli said sharply. He grabbed a metal pipe from the ground, gripping it like a weapon. The soldiers' lights flashed closer. Footsteps echoed on metal. Eli's heart raced. "Stay behind me." The first soldier appeared at the doorway. His flashlight hit Eli's face. "Hands up." "Step away from the alien!" Eli didn't move. The soldier aimed his rifle. But before he could fire, the cube in Eli's pocket suddenly glowed bright blue. A wave of force burst outward, slamming the soldier against the wall. The rest shouted in confusion as lights flickered. Eli looked at his hands. Faint blue lines were glowing under his skin. What did I just do? Sarah's weak voice answered. The cube. It's reacting to you. Eli felt dizzy. He didn't understand what was happening, only that the soldiers were regrouping. He grabbed Sarah again and jumped off the train, running toward the dark tunnel ahead. Behind them, gunfire echoed through the subway. Sparks lit the walls. Eli's voice broke through the noise. Hold on, Sarah. We'll find a way out. And in the blue glow of the cube, they vanished deeper into the maze, hunted by machines, chased by men, and carried forward by a strange power neither of them understood yet. The sound of gunfire had faded hours ago. Only silence and the soft dripping of water remained in the tunnels. Eli leaned against the cold wall, breathing heavily, his clothes soaked and torn. Sarah lay beside him, her glowing skin dim, her leg wrapped in rags. They had found shelter inside an old maintenance room, small, dark, and full of broken machines. The flickering light from the cube in Eli's hand was the only thing keeping the shadows away. The cube pulsed like a heart. Once, twice, steady. Eli couldn't stop staring at it. The metal surface was smooth, but when he turned it in his palm, strange symbols floated across it, glowing faintly. He could almost feel it thinking. What is this thing, really? He asked quietly. Sarah opened her eyes. It's not a thing, she said softly. It's alive, and a piece of me, a piece of my people's memory. We call it a core fragment. It holds knowledge, power, and connection. Eli frowned. Then why is it reacting to me? Sarah looked confused. It shouldn't. It only connects to Vereen energy. Humans shouldn't be able to touch it without burning. But it doesn't burn me, Eli said. It feels warm, like it knows me. He turned the cube again. For a moment it flashed bright blue, and suddenly a rush of images filled his mind. Stars. Strange worlds. A silver city floating in clouds. And then, screaming, explosions, fire. Eli gasped and dropped the cube. It landed on the floor with a metallic thud. His hands were shaking. What did you see? Sarah asked. I don't know, he said. I saw your world, maybe. But it felt real, like I was there. Sarah sat up slowly, her face pale. That's not possible, she whispered. No human has ever connected to a core before. Eli rubbed his eyes, trying to calm down. Maybe your cube is broken. It's not broken, Sarah said, staring at him. It chose you, Eli blinked. Chose me? I'm just some sewer rat, Sarah shook her head. Not anymore. Before Eli could answer, the walls of the tunnel shook. A deep vibration rolled through the ground like thunder. Dust fell from the ceiling. Somewhere far away, engines hummed, heavy, mechanical, alive. They found us, Sarah whispered. Eli stood up quickly. How? I thought we lost them. Sarah looked weak, her glow flickering. The cube gives off a signal now that it's active. They can track it. Eli picked it up again, clutching it tightly. Then I'll throw it away. No, she said sharply. If they get it, they'll use it to find all of my kind. That cube is more than memory, and it's a map. Eli's stomach twisted. A map to what? To every Vereen ship hidden on this planet, she said. And now it's inside your mind. Eli stared at her. What do you mean, and inside my mind? Sarah touched his temple gently. When the cube showed you those visions, it linked with you. The information isn't just in the cube anymore. It's part of your brain. Eli stepped back. You mean they'll come after me even if I don't have it? She nodded. Yes, you're their target now. He looked down at the cube, glowing calmly in his palm. It didn't feel like a curse. It felt like something alive, something that wanted him to understand. What happens if they catch me? He asked. They'll cut the information out of your mind, Sarah said, voice trembling. And you'll die. Eli was silent. The idea of dying didn't scare him much. Life had never been kind to him anyway. But Sarah looked so fragile, and somehow he knew she was fighting for more than her own life. He clenched his fist. Then they won't catch us. Sarah smiled weakly. You talk like you can stop them. Eli smirked faintly. I don't need to stop them. I just need to keep running. Before Sarah could respond, the cube flared again, brighter than before. Symbols floated around Eli, glowing in the air like tiny stars. The room filled with energy. Sarah's eyes widened. It's trying to show you something else. Eli closed his eyes, letting the light pull him in. This time he saw something different. Not stars, but tunnels. The same sewers they were hiding in, only from above. A glowing path stretched north toward the old city ruins, and in the distance a signal tower pulsed blue. When the vision ended, Eli opened his eyes. It showed me a place. A tower. Sarah nodded slowly. That's where we can cut the signal. Stop them from tracking you. Eli helped her stand. Then that's where we go. Sarah looked at him with quiet wonder. You don't understand what you're doing, do you? No, Eli said, smiling slightly. But I'll figure it out on the way. Outside, the sound of engines grew louder. Drones were sweeping the tunnels again. But Eli didn't feel helpless anymore. The cube glowed brighter in his hand, like it was alive, like it trusted him. And for the first time in his life, Eli didn't feel like a poor boy from the sewers. He felt like someone who mattered, someone chosen. The night above the sewers was darker than usual, the kind of dark that hides danger behind silence. Eli and Sarah crawled through a broken manhole and climbed into the ruins of the upper city. The wind was cold, carrying dust and ash. Buildings stood like empty giants, their windows shattered, their walls painted with warnings. No aliens, no mercy. Eli had not been to the surface in years. He looked around with wide eyes, half in awe, half in fear. It's dead, he whispered. Sarah limped beside him, her glowing skin dimmed under a torn hood Eli had found for her. Your people fear what they destroyed, she said softly. But the air still remembers. Eli didn't understand what she meant, but he didn't ask. He only cared about one thing now. The tower the cube had shown him. It stood far to the north, rising like a jagged tooth above the ruins. It was their only hope. But first, they needed food and shelter. That's when Eli remembered Jonas. Jonas was an old junk trader who lived in a collapsed warehouse near the east side of the city. He used to buy broken parts and scrap metal from Eli back when he was a kid. Jonas wasn't kind, but he wasn't cruel either. He paid with food sometimes, enough to keep Eli alive. If anyone can help us, Eli said, it's him. Sarah looked at him with doubt. Can you trust him? Eli hesitated. Maybe not, but we don't have a choice. They reached the warehouse just before dawn. The place was a skeleton of steel and shadow. Eli knocked 3 times on a rusted door. A rough voice answered, Who's there? It's me, Jonas. Eli called. Eli from the tunnels. The door creaked open and an old man appeared wearing dirty goggles and a heavy coat. His eyes widened when he saw Eli. Boy, I thought you were dead. Eli smiled weakly. Almost was. He helped Sarah inside quickly. We need a place to rest. Jonas's eyes narrowed as he looked at the girl. Who's she? Eli hesitated. She's hurt. Please. She just needs help. Jonas's gaze lingered on Sarah's faint blue glow under the hood. His voice dropped. That's not a human, is it? Eli froze. Jonas, please, the old man sighed and turned away. You're a fool, boy. You know what happens to people who hide her kind. Eli followed him inside. I don't care. She's not like the others. She's different. Jonas looked over his shoulder, studying Eli's face. You always had too much heart for this world. He tossed them a blanket and a can of food. Rest for now. You can stay till morning. Eli helped Sarah sit by an old stove. She was weak, her breathing slow. Thank you, she whispered to Jonas. The old man grunted. Don't thank me yet. Hours passed. Eli dozed off beside the fire, the cube glowing faintly beside him. Sarah watched it with quiet eyes, whispering something in her alien tongue. Jonas sat at a workbench nearby, pretending to fix a broken machine. But his hands trembled slightly. Hidden under the table, he opened a small transmitter, one of the few that still worked. He pressed a button and spoke softly into it. This is Jonas Pike. I've found something the Army wants, the alien girl, and a human boy. Send your men. I want payment this time. He turned off the device and stared at his reflection in a broken mirror. I'm sorry, kid, he whispered. Survival comes first. When Eli woke, the first thing he noticed was the silence. The city outside was too quiet, and no wind, no hum, no distant drones. Then he heard it. The faint click of metal boots, his heart froze. He looked at Sarah. She was sitting up, eyes wide with fear. They're coming, she whispered. I feel them. Eli turned toward Jonas. What did you do? Jonas's face was pale. I didn't have a choice, boy. They would have killed me too. Eli's voice cracked with anger. You betrayed us. Before Jonas could answer, the roof above exploded. Soldiers dropped through the smoke, rifles ready, armor gleaming. Targets located, one shouted. Capture the alien alive. Eli grabbed the cube and pulled Sarah behind the workbench as bullets tore through the air. Jonas was thrown backward by the blast, his body hitting the wall. Sarah's hands trembled. We can't fight them all. Eli looked at the cube, its light pulsing fast, like a heartbeat in panic. Then we don't fight, he held it tight. Sarah, do something. Anything. Her eyes glowed bright blue. She reached for his hand, her voice shaking. Close your eyes, the cube flared like a star. For one moment, everything turned silent. Soldiers frozen mid-step, bullets hanging in the air, light bending around them. Then, a flash. When Eli opened his eyes again, they were no longer in the warehouse. They were standing in a wide, dark chamber underground, walls covered in glowing alien symbols, the air heavy with strange warmth. Eli looked around, breathless. Where are we? Sarah smiled faintly. Somewhere safe. For now. The cube floated between them, glowing steady, calm, as if it had brought them here itself. But far above, in the broken city, soldiers were reporting to their commander. Targets vanished. Signal lost. The commander looked at the scanner screen, frowning. They didn't vanish, he said coldly. They found the chamber. The chamber was alive. The walls hummed softly. Lines of blue light crawling like veins beneath the stone. Symbols glowed and shifted, floating in the air as if they were breathing. Eli stood still, his heart beating fast, unsure whether to be afraid or amazed. Sarah leaned against a pillar, her body trembling from exhaustion. The teleportation had drained what little energy she had left. Her skin shimmered faintly, her eyes unfocused. This place, she whispered. It's older than my kind. It was built before the war, before your people even walked the stars. Eli looked around. The floor was carved with the same symbols he had seen in his visions. In the center of the room stood a circular platform, glowing softly, and above it floated something, a blue crystal sphere, spinning slowly in the air. It pulsed like a living heart. The cube in Eli's pocket began to glow too, brighter and brighter, until he had to take it out. It vibrated in his hand, warm and alive. Sarah's eyes widened. The core is calling to it. The what? Eli asked. The heart of the bridge, she said weakly. A living energy source, part of the old network that once connected our worlds. She tried to step forward but stumbled. Eli caught her before she fell. Rest, he said. You're not okay. I have to activate it, she whispered. It can heal me. And maybe help you understand what's happening to you. Eli hesitated. What do you mean? Sarah placed her glowing hand on his chest, right over his heart. Blue light flickered through his veins for a moment. The cube didn't just link to you, she said softly. It merged with your life energy. You're part of it now. Eli stared at her, speechless. That's impossible. Maybe for humans, she said. But you're not only human anymore. The chamber reacted to their words. The lights grew brighter, the hum turning into a deep, rhythmic beat. The crystal sphere above the platform shone with a beam of blue light that reached toward Eli. Sarah whispered, It's choosing you again. Eli stepped back. No, I don't want this. But the light reached him anyway. It wrapped around his body like water, lifting him slowly into the air. His clothes fluttered, his skin glowing with the same blue veins as the cube. The room filled with energy, strong, endless, alive. Eli screamed as visions flooded his mind again. Thousands of images flashing like lightning. Alien cities, stars collapsing, humans shaking hands with beings of light. Then in destruction, war, fire raining from the sky. He saw the truth. The cube wasn't just a weapon or a map. It was a memory of peace, a key meant to unite humans and Vereen, not destroy them. When the light faded, Eli dropped to his knees, gasping for air. His body still glowed faintly. The cube floated above his palm, now perfectly still. Sarah approached him carefully. You saw it, didn't you? Eli nodded slowly. We weren't enemies once, we were connected. Sarah smiled weakly. You understand now. The cube has awakened the human core inside you, the part that can bridge both kinds. That's what my people were searching for. A balance. Eli looked at his glowing hands. So I'm a bridge? Yes, she said softly. And that's why they're afraid of you. Before Eli could reply, a loud rumble shook the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. Somewhere above, explosions echoed, and sharp and close. Sarah's face turned pale. They found us. Eli stood, gripping the cube tight. How? We were hidden. The core's activation must have sent a signal, she said. They're tracking it. A metallic voice boomed through the chamber, amplified and cold. Target 47B and human subject located. Engage. The doors at the far end exploded inward. Soldiers poured in, followed by drones that hovered and scanned the room. Blue sparks burst from their weapons. Eli grabbed Sarah's hand and pulled her behind the platform. Stay down! Bullets of plasma smashed into the walls, leaving burning holes. The hum of the chamber grew louder as if reacting to the attack. Sarah raised her trembling hand. I can shield us. For a moment. A blue dome of light appeared around them, deflecting the blasts. But Eli could see how weak she was getting. The shield flickered like a dying flame. Sarah, stop, he shouted. You're killing yourself. She smiled faintly. If I don't, they'll kill you. The light around Eli began to pulse again, then stronger, brighter, uncontrollable. He felt it inside his chest like fire. The cube merged into his skin, sinking into his palm. The glow spread up his arm and across his body. The soldiers stopped firing, watching in fear as Eli rose slowly from the ground, eyes glowing like stars. The chamber's walls responded, symbols flaring with blue fire. Eli's voice was calm but not human anymore. You shouldn't have come here. He lifted his hand and the drones shattered like glass. The soldiers screamed as their weapons melted. The light from Eli's body filled the chamber, swallowing everything in a blinding wave. When it finally dimmed, the soldiers were gone. Only Eli and Sarah remained, surrounded by silence and smoke. Eli dropped to the floor, gasping. His glow faded to a faint shimmer. Sarah crawled to him, her eyes wide with awe. You awakened the bridge, she whispered. You can control the core. Eli looked at his trembling hands. Then maybe I can stop this war. Sarah smiled weakly and rested her head against his shoulder. Maybe you can. But above them, far in the distance, a dark ship moved through the clouds, massive, cold, and watching. The commander's voice echoed through his communicator. The bridge is active. Prepare for the final strike. The ground shook again. This time it wasn't just the chamber, and it was the world above. The rumble echoed through the tunnels like thunder trapped under stone. Dust fell in soft clouds around Eli and Sarah as a faint red light flashed through the cracks in the ceiling. Eli looked up, breathing hard. They're bombing the surface. Sarah pressed her palm to the glowing wall. The light from her hand merged with the chamber's symbols, and for a moment, she could see what was happening above. Giant ships, dark and sharp like knives, hovered in the sky, firing beams of red light down at the city ruins. It's begun, she whispered. The final cleansing. Eli's jaw tightened. They're trying to erase you. No, she said softly. They're trying to erase you. Eli frowned. Me? The commanders fear what you've become, she said. A human with the bridge power. That means peace. And peace means no control, no war, no fear. They can't allow it. Eli clenched his fists. Blue lines of energy glowed faintly under his skin. Then let them come. Sarah smiled weakly. You're brave. But bravery alone won't save us. The ground shook again, harder this time. A massive explosion ripped through one side of the chamber, sending dust and rock flying. A bright red beam shot down from above, cutting through the walls like a blade. From the fire and smoke, dozens of mechanical soldiers descended, metal bodies, glowing eyes, and energy rifles. Behind them floated a large drone with a human voice amplified through speakers. Subject Eli. You are carrying restricted energy. Surrender the core and you may live. Eli stood tall, the cube pulsing faintly from inside his chest. You'll have to take it, the drone's voice buzzed coldly. Then you will die. The soldiers opened fire. The chamber erupted into chaos. Beams of red light cut through the air, striking walls and stone. Sarah raised her hand and formed a shield of blue light, blocking the first wave, but she was too weak to hold it for long. The shield cracked like glass. Eli stepped in front of her. Run, he shouted. No, she whispered. This is your moment. The cube's light flared through Eli's chest, spreading to his arms, his face, his eyes. The world around him slowed. Every sound, every motion turned silent and still. He could feel everything, the machines, the air, even the heartbeat of the earth. He reached out his hand, and the nearest soldiers froze mid-step. Their metal arms twisted and folded in on themselves. Sparks burst from their joints as they collapsed to the ground. The drone fired a massive energy beam straight at him, but Eli turned his hand upward. The beam curved away, bending through the air like a stream of water. It smashed into the ceiling, breaking open a hole that revealed the night sky above. Through that hole, Eli saw the alien ships, enormous, silent, glowing red against the dark clouds. They looked like monsters made of metal and hate. Sarah coughed weakly. Eli, they'll keep coming. Eli knelt beside her. Then I'll end it. He closed his eyes, feeling the cube's power grow hotter inside him, almost painful, almost alive. His body lifted slightly off the ground, surrounded by a blue aura that shimmered like liquid fire. Every drone and soldier in the chamber stopped moving. Their lights flickered, their weapons fell. Sarah stared in awe. You're controlling them. Eli opened his glowing eyes. No, I'm freeing them. One by one, the machines powered down, their red lights turning blue, their voices going silent. The energy waves spread outward, climbing through the tunnels, reaching the surface. The entire sky turned bright for a second, like dawn breaking too soon. Above, the alien ships faltered. Their engines sputtered, their weapons froze. The humans watching from their bunkers saw something they couldn't understand. Machines refusing to fight, lights changing color, and one boy standing in the ruins below, shining like a star, but the victory came at a price. Eli fell to his knees, trembling, blood dripping from his nose. The power inside him was too much. His body couldn't hold it all. Sarah crawled to him and held his face in her hands. Stop, Eli, you'll burn yourself alive, he smiled weakly. If I stop, they'll destroy everything. Tears filled her glowing eyes. Then let me share the burden. Before he could argue, she pressed her forehead against his. A flash of blue light exploded between them. Her energy poured into him. Her strength, her memories, her life. Eli felt her heart slowing, her body growing cold. Sarah, no, he shouted. She smiled faintly. You are the bridge now. Remember that, her glow faded. The light from her eyes dimmed until only the cube in Eli's chest remained shining. Eli screamed, a sound that shook the air itself. The cube burst open like a star, and a wave of blue fire rose into the sky, consuming every machine still fighting, burning through clouds, reaching even the highest ships. When it was over, the world fell silent. The ships above were gone, disintegrated, vanished into light. The chamber was half destroyed, the air filled with smoke and silence. Eli knelt beside Sarah's still body, his eyes empty but glowing softly. The cube's light now pulsed inside his chest, slower, calmer, as if it had taken her heart along with its own. Outside, the red lights of war were gone. The city was quiet again, but the silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like the calm before something greater. Morning came, quiet, strange, and bright. The war noise was gone. The sky, once full of smoke, was now a soft silver blue. Pieces of metal and dust floated in the air, glowing gently in the sunlight like falling stars. In the ruins of the old city, Eli woke slowly. His body ached, every muscle heavy as stone. The ground around him was cracked and black, the mark of the explosion he had caused. His chest glowed faintly through his torn shirt. The cube's light now soft, steady, almost like a heartbeat. For a few seconds, he didn't move. He just stared at the pale sky. No drones, no soldiers, no sound except the wind. Then the memory hit him. Sarah, Eli turned sharply. She lay a few steps away, her body still, her face calm like she was only sleeping. Her silver hair spread across the ground, catching the sunlight. The glow that once surrounded her was gone. Eli crawled to her side, his voice breaking. Sarah, hey, wake up, no answer. He shook her hand gently. Come on, we made it. It's over, still nothing. Her skin was cold. Eli felt a sting behind his eyes. For the first time since the war began, he cried, not out of fear, but out of loss. You said you'd stay, he whispered. You said we'd end this together. The cube inside his chest pulsed softly, almost like it was responding. He touched it without thinking. You took her, he said bitterly. You saved me, but not her. The cube flashed once. and then a voice, faint, soft, familiar. Eli. Eli froze. The sound wasn't coming from his ears, and it was coming from inside him. Sarah? Yes, the voice said gently. I'm still here. Part of me lives in the bridge now. You carry me. Eli looked down, tears mixing with dust on his face. I thought I lost you. You didn't, she said. You're not alone. He closed his eyes, breathing shakily. What do I do now? Look around, her voice whispered. See what you've done, Eli stood slowly. The city stretched before him, broken, yes, but alive in a new way. The alien ships were gone. The red clouds had vanished. The sky was clean, soft, and full of faint blue lights like stars had fallen closer to Earth. And then he saw them. People. Human survivors crawling out from the rubble, blinking at the light. Some wore torn uniforms. Some were just civilians, all looking confused but alive. They stared at Eli, at the faint blue glow coming from his chest. None spoke at first. Then an old woman whispered, He's the boy from below. Another voice said, He stopped them. The whispers spread. In moments, people began stepping forward, not afraid but in awe. A little girl approached him, holding a small flower she had found among the ruins. She looked up with wide eyes. Are you an angel? Eli smiled softly. No, he said. Just a human. But behind his words, Sarah's voice echoed faintly. Not just human. The bridge. As the day grew brighter, a shadow fell across the city.
Eli looked up, expecting ships or war machines.
But what he saw instead made his heart race. A massive blue light appeared in the sky, forming the shape of a circle. Inside that circle, a figure slowly appeared. Tall, graceful, glowing. It was Sarah, or what was left of her. Her image shimmered like a hologram, projected from the cube's power. The people gasped and stepped back, but her voice was calm, soft, and filled the air. Humans, she said, the war is over. The bridge has awakened. We are not enemies. We never were. Her image looked down at Eli. This boy showed us that kindness can survive even in the dark. He saved both our worlds. Eli stood silently, staring up, tears running down his face again, but this time they weren't sad. Sarah's image began to fade. Protect the light, Eli, she whispered. Let it grow. And then she was gone. The sky clear again, the wind calm. That evening, as the survivors built fires among the ruins, Eli sat on a high ledge overlooking the city. The cube's glow pulsed gently through his chest, keeping him warm. He remembered the first night he found her, lost, glowing, scared in the dark. Back then he was just a poor boy from the sewers. Now he was something else, something both human and more. Sarah's voice whispered softly in his mind. Do you see it? Eli looked out over the horizon. For the first time in his life, he saw green, small patches of grass breaking through the cracks of the ruined streets. The air shimmered faintly with blue dust healing the earth. He smiled faintly. Yeah, he whispered. I see it. The night fell gently, quiet and peaceful. The stars above seemed closer now, brighter, softer, like they were watching him. Eli leaned back against the cold stone, his eyes half closed. You did it, Sarah, he murmured. You saved us. Her voice came again, tender and fading. No, Eli, we did. The cube glowed once more, warm, alive like a heartbeat shared between two worlds and somewhere far above. Beyond the stars, the bridge shimmered open again, linking two species through the courage of one poor human boy who once lived in the sewers, and the alien girl who taught him what light truly means.